So McFarlane Toys have thrown their hat into the ring for Avatar: The Last Airbender action figures. And I gotta say, I'm a little late to talking about these. I know, I've actually had them sitting around for about a month, and I just got around to opening them literally yesterday. So, yeah, what's my opinion on these? I've collected a lot of the Avatar figures throughout the years. I've collected a lot of the Mattel ones, I've collected the Diamond Select ones, and I've pretty much already got a complete collection of the McFarlane ones. Oh, but J4, you didn't get the single-carded Aang. Where's the single-carded Aang? Number one, it's basically the exact same as this one, except it just comes with this and not that. But number two, don't worry, I actually did. I just really like this package. And I wanted to keep it in the package. I mean, look at that face, man. That's actually pretty good. That's a pretty jovial looking face. I can definitely dig it. And I mean, it's just a nice looking box. I like it has a little air effects on it. It's almost like they're doing the series by books, like they might do book 2 of a wave, kind of like how Mattel did. You can see the description back there. It's got a cool picture. It's just a nice box overall, man. I wanted one to keep in the box, and it was going to be the one that I didn't already have technically. So yeah, this is a pretty neat line. Of course, as you can see, Appa is very, very undersized. He's probably about half the size he should be. All the characters should be able to sleep in his saddle. But as you can see, Aang can just stand in it. And you might be able to cram like one other person sort of in there. So that's unfortunate that you don't really have an Appa that's true to scale. But this Appa toy is still really big, really immense, and really awesome. These action figures are $10 each. The deluxe Aang with the glider is $15, and Appa is just $20. So it costs you what, like, what, 10, 20, 30, 50, $65 to get the complete set. 65 bucks to get basically all of the essential Avatar stuff. If you just want this on your shelf, I mean, you don't really need anyone else. It'd be nice to have an Uncle Iroh. It'd be nice to have a Toph, and those might come at some point from McFarlane. I mean, Diamond's gotten around to those. But yeah, these are pretty cool figures, man. Are they the best Avatar figures so far? We'll see. We'll see. So yes, this video is not just going to be a review, but I'm also going to compare these figures to all of the relevant figures that I can. So let's get started. I'm trying to think where to even start. Guess we'll start with the main man, the Avatar Aang, because he has the most comparisons. And I just want to get him out of the way, man. So one thing I noticed, with the deluxe Aang compared to the normal Aang, they're basically identical, right? But I don't know, is it just me? Or is the face just ever so slightly different? Maybe it's just the paint? Like maybe this one's more properly painted? Like I feel like this one actually might be printed a little too low. You can see the eye sculpt is actually a little off. And this one's actually printed pretty much on the dot. So yeah, maybe that's the thing. Honestly, though, I feel like the one that's misprinted actually looks a little better. That's just me, though. I actually think that one actually looks a little better than that one. But yeah, just a little interesting observation I had. But this Aang's pretty cool. I mean, he comes with a glider. He can hold it pretty properly. I mean, kind of get his legs wrapped around it. It is made out of a nice softer plastic, so you can kind of warp it, not worry about breaking it. That's a really nice texture to it, too. That's one thing McFarlane's really good at, is like sculpt texture. You can see like all over his costume, he has some nice texture and everything. A little paint on the boot there. His tunic is kind of just like attached to his arms, instead of how it actually kind of is in the show. But honestly, this makes for a more like workable action figure. And it still looks fine. I don't mind it. Take that off. You can give him his normal staff, which unfortunately is just brown. It doesn't have any like little studs painted in. It does have the accurate 1 stud down there and 2 studs up there. And he can hold that fine too. So, his articulation, he's got a ball joint at the head, ball hinge at the shoulder and the elbow. Nothing at the wrist. Swivel at the waist. He's got ball joints at the hips. Hinge and swivel at the knee. And nothing at the ankle. So it is a pretty basic action figure, but he has, in my opinion, all of the essential points of articulation that you really need out of an action figure. I would say when it comes to figures, you really just need head, shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees. Those are the ones you absolutely need for it to be a very functional, good action figure. Everything else is just like added bonus. But yeah, I mean, it's still a really fun figure, man. And it's a pretty good size. And I think for only $10 or $15, depending on which one you get, like, if you like Avatar or if you have a young fan that wants some Avatar toys, so definitely some good options. I mean, the joints are nice and firm. I didn't have any issues with like stuck joints or stiff joints. They have a nice click to them. They have a nice feel, man. They just have a nice feel. So let's compare Aang's, because there's a lot of Aang's to compare. It is a little unfortunate that they don't have ankle joints because it does make them a little difficult to stand sometimes. As you can see, we got him standing. So there's that Aang. Let's compare him to the first, the greatest, except it's really not. The original Mattel Aang. Oop! Yeah, this Mattel one is a bit of a troublemaker. So let's just take that glider off. You can see it's a firmer plastic. It actually has handles. See, it's actually a similar size, too, but it doesn't have all that nice texture. Which, I mean, the texture is more like for style rather than for accuracy. You can see Mattel did a similar thing, but they also had just like this weird rubbery tunic stuff. So yeah, here's the Mattel one. It did have ankles, did not have wrists. But yeah, it had very similar articulation, but it had, like I said, that rubberiness. So let's get the McFarlane one standing again. So you can see, at least from size, they're pretty similar, actually. I would say they're pretty comparable. Like, I wouldn't really worry about, oh no, they're not in scale. Man, come on. That's fine. That's hardly a difference, honestly. The McFarlane one, in my opinion, looks a lot better. I don't feel like either of them have the greatest of faces, but I think they're both pretty good. So let's get the McFarlane standing. And then let's bring in another Aang. Let's bring in the latest effort from Diamond. That being the, this is more of the Walgreens Aang instead of the standard one. So let's get him standing straight. He does have the effect piece. That is one thing that Diamond does that McFarlane hasn't, is they give him effect pieces. Now, to be fair, though, the Diamond ones are more expensive. And you can see they actually have like the actual more accurate tunic, but as you can see, it does look a little dicey. But I actually think the best, funny enough to say that, I think the best Aang on the market right now still is the best action Aang. And yes, he does have the Diamond Select tunic there instead of the rubbery one he came with, because I feel like for me doing him in the Avatar state, that actually looks kind of nice. See, I'll stand him there. You can see the size is also pretty similar. He is the shortest out of all of them. But I do feel like the best action, which is around $15, so pretty much the same price as that. Does also come with Momo, does come with alternate heads and hands. Does not come with a glider, though. But yeah, man, out of all the Aangs, I think the best head sculpt goes to Diamond. I would say the best body goes to the best action. Some of the best value either goes to best action or McFarlane. The Mattel does not win in any regard, I'm sorry. But honestly, man, it's pretty it's pretty interesting to see all these Aangs. I wouldn't really expect to have a collection this comprehensive like this just for Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's gotten this resurgence, and I've loved it ever since it aired. So yeah, I'm definitely all for this. So yeah, there is the Aang comparisons out of the way. Let's get those out. Like I said, I would probably recommend the best action from, what's the Loyal Subjects. I would say that's probably my favorite. But let's move on from Aang. We'll set the ones I've already talked about off to the side, and let's talk about Zuko. So this is Prince Zuko in his Book 1 Prince, kind of his banished prince garb. And he has his fire daggers, which is really cool. I think that is something that the old Mattel ones also came with. But I actually really like these McFarlane ones. They do have like very firm handles. Like it just looks like he's literally holding a handle instead of him just like bursting the fire out from under his fist. But again, man, look at that texture. That looks really good, and you can feel it too. He's got this nice texture to him. Like for, if you have a kid that's very like textile, that maybe they really like feeling things with texture, these are really good figures. Like McFarlane really puts a lot of texture into their stuff. Like that's rough, like these are really coarse. It's a really nice feeling figure. That head sculpt though, yeah, that's perfect. It's got the scar, nicely painted, does have a darker color around the eye. I really like the mouth. I like the ponytail, how it's kind of off in a little direction there. Yeah, man, this is a pretty solid figure. The crisp red paint, too. Wow. The paint's really crisp. Like, look at that gold. Ooh, wow. His articulation, ball joint, ball hinge, swivel, swivel. His legs we do have to talk about because they are a little hindered by the skirt. Move forward about that much. Move out just about that much. Knees can bend and swivel. And one thing to note is that his toes, he's got those fancy Fire Nation toes. They're a little sharp. I would say just be careful about that. But yeah, there is Zuko, and there's only really one relevant figure to compare him to. I could have compared him to the Diamond one, but I just didn't feel like that was relevant enough. It's a totally different design. But I do have the old Book 1 Zuko from Mattel, and you can see that there's definitely a size difference here. And just bringing an Aang next to Zuko, I feel like that height difference is a little not accurate. I feel like Aang should be a little shorter than Zuko. So that's actually an issue I take with the McFarlane ones. I feel like Zuko is a little undersized. But as you can see, again, the Mattel one, it does have the helmet, which is cool. But the Mattel one, it's got some loose joints. It's a little finicky. It does have like the weird rubbery materials. So I guess if you have a kid that likes weird rubbery material, I mean, the Mattel ones have that. It definitely looks weirder around the neck and not as like nice and refined with the gold, with the collar there. Looks really good on the McFarlane one. I would say McFarlane is by far the definitive. Has similar articulation, doesn't have ankles, but honestly, other than that, the articulation is pretty similar. I would say definitely go with the McFarlane, even though you don't get the helmet, but I'm curious though. Does it? It's a little oversized. But I am pleased to report that the helmet fits on the McFarlane one. Oh, wow. Yeah, just to let you know. If you're okay with it being... Oh my gosh, Katara has just totally died. But yeah, if you're okay with it being a little oversized, you can totally do that if you are so inclined. I mean, it looked big on the Mattel anyway. But yeah, there's the McFarlane Zuko. And now, because she died, we'll look at her next. Katara, one of the best characters in the entire show, and yeah, she hasn't gotten many toys because Mattel was like, oh, people don't want a girl as an action figure. Do you know how many people that were fans of Avatar were like, hey, why isn't there a Katara figure? Myself included. But yeah, man, this Katara, like, it's weird for me to say this for an action figure, but she's pretty. She's really pretty. They did the eyes and the lips and everything. Like, she's pretty pretty. I mean, it's a really good-looking figure. She has her grandmother's necklace. I dig that. And again, she has all that texture on the costume. Like, you can see it's all nice and textured. It really gives her a lot of detail. Now, granted, it's not necessarily animation accurate, but, I mean, she does have all that nice detail. And, I mean, look at the hair. Man, McFarlane's really good with their sculpt work. They really are. I love how those eyes look. And as you saw, she does come with an effect. She actually is one of the only ones so far to come with a bending effect. Unfortunately, she doesn't come with the satchel where she can like take water from that. So I guess she's pulling this from the environment. Yeah, she's got like this curved water effect. I guess you can sort of have her hold it and then it can like whip around her shoulder. It can like come from underneath if you want. She can probably hold it with both hands. I'm just having better luck with the right hand. Honestly, it doesn't hold too great. As you saw when she got knocked over, it very easily came out of her hand. Yeah, you can kind of wedge it in there a little bit. You can hear all the creaking from the plastic, like, no, stop this. Yeah, you can see it's... You can do some stuff with it. You can do some stuff, you know. It's doable. It's like she's, I don't know what she's doing there. It's probably the worst pose I've ever done for a figure ever. Speaking of posing, she's got a ball joint at the head, ball hinge at the shoulders, and the elbows, swivel at the waist, the hips. They move forward about that far because of the skirt. They move out all the way awesomely because of the skirt. I do have to say the skirt is pretty, like, it's pretty thick. Like, it is honestly pretty thick. Like, I'm just kind of surprised at how thick it is. I mean, it does struggle to move out of the way a little bit, and it looks kind of stiff. But, I mean, it looks pretty nice, though. It's all good. Hinge and swivel at the knee, nothing at the ankle. So, yeah, man, this Katara is pretty legit. I'm definitely a fan. This is definitely probably my favorite Katara figure so far. But how does she look next to the previous one? The previous being the diamond, which, well, it's got some dust on it. Man, I've had this that long. So this is the diamond one. As you can see, is pretty big. I honestly feel like the Diamond Select one is actually oversized for the Diamond Select line. I feel like she's just huge. Like, she doesn't need to be that freaking huge, man. I just realized I had her arm twisted the wrong way the whole time. Yeah, she does have the water satchel, which, let's just see if we can just slip that out. Can we just slip that out? I'm curious. I'm curious, man. You've got me curious. Let's just slip that out. Let's just slip that out. There we go. I'm just curious. Just curious. I'm just curious. I'm a curious guy. Just curious. You know me, I'm just curious. That works. Yeah, that works. I'd say that works. That actually really completes the look. Wow. I like that. I might end up, I don't know. Yeah, the diamond one's just really big. It's a good figure, though. Really dark blue, still. It's a really dark blue. And her water effect, it looks neat, but it just how they had the pre-sculpted hands and everything, I always wanted to fall. It was pretty impractical. But still, it's a good figure. I mean, you definitely didn't go wrong if you already bought this. Like, I don't feel like I did. But you can see, though, where this one has some extra detail that the McFarlane doesn't. Like, it actually has the blue for the hair, like the little tie there and up there. And this one does not. So that's probably something I might end up painting in at some point. But still, it's not really a detail I noticed before I was able to bring in a comparison. So, I mean, just looking at these side by side, man, I probably have to go with the McFarlane. I mean, the McFarlane's less than half the price. It's smaller, yes, but it is also, you know, it looks better. It does. So let's slip this back on, and you're just gonna have to bear with me. You're just gonna have to bear with me. Are you bearing yet? Are you bearing Zemo-ing with me? Oh man, this is not working out. Come on. There, I didn't make you sit through that. Alright, so we just have two figures left. We've got Sokka and this Sokka, man. I'm digging it. I am digging it. So unfortunately, his boomerang, right off the bat, I don't feel like it's fully detailed. It could be way more detailed. But you know what? Life's good. It still looks like his boomerang. You can still tell. It still looks cool. He holds it nice. He holds it good. He has the satchel where he can hold the boomerang. And that's a plus. So we can get that in. It slots in pretty nice. It's good. It's very toyetic how easy it is to just slide in and out. It's not 100% accurate, but I dig it. His body. Oddly enough, I feel like Sokka's tunic is supposed to be darker, but again, like the diamond one, it's actually a little brighter. Now, granted, these two look so great together. That looks really good. But yeah, I mean, it is a different color, so you can tell, like, there is a differentiation. And his articulation's basically the same. I feel like his elbows are probably the best out of all of them. He's got a ball hinge, and then his legs, I feel like his tunic, his skirt, kind of... It's still thick, you know, it's still a thick material, but I feel like because it's smaller, it gets out of the way a lot more. And also, I feel like he has meatier ball joints. I just feel like that gives him better articulation than other figures. His knees, though, they're really tight on mine. His knees are super tight, and I'm a little worried there. And oddly enough, unlike all the others, he doesn't really have, like, the normal knee configuration. He doesn't really have, like, a swivel at the knee. But he does have that ball joint at the hip that's actually larger, so it does give you some side to side. But you actually get a boot cut instead. So I found that pretty peculiar. But yeah, I mean, it's still a really good-looking figure. This head sculpt is perfect, in my opinion. That is Sokka right there. Like, it's a bit of determination, almost a little bit of like, I almost get a little bit of like a smile out of it in a way because of how it's curved, even though it's not smiling. Really like how they did the shaved part of the head. Yeah, I mean, and the eyes too. Like, that's a really good looking figure. It really is. So let's compare Sokkas. Let's get to it. So let's compare the first Sokka. You will have to excuse his rubber tunic because he's oh gosh, this figure because he has been sitting on his Appa for a while. Here's the Mattel Sokka. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mattel one has some more paint on the boots, has a paint on the waist, at the, yeah, man. Oof, that's a tough one. Mattel one does not look that good at all, honestly, it doesn't. I mean, it has a fully painted boomerang, that's something, but it's dicey. It's not the best looking. It's like a weird puffy looking chest. Yeah. Let's move on from that. I'm already done with that one. But we do have, and excuse me is already in a pose. We do have, I just actually reviewed this, the Diamond Sokka. And you can see he does have the brighter tunic, which I always found confusing. I did have to cut that so he actually has more leg articulation, even though McFarlane already knew to do that, so they did it for me. This one does have the more detail. Like you can see his boots are way more detailed. They look a lot nicer. He does have the waist there. I feel like his gloves are a little more accurate with how they have more coverage on the middle and pointer fingers. I don't like his soft goods straps. They're still really thin and odd looking to me. But he does have the fully painted boomerang, which is nice. And he came with some effects that weren't that good, honestly. His face, though, like, I liked it at the time, but I just don't see Sokka in it much at all in comparison to this new one. I don't know, he looks too old. he doesn't look like a kid, because Sokka is only supposed to be, like, what, 15, 16? Because, like, what, Aang's like 12. And then Katara is supposed to be like 13 or 14, and then Sokka's supposed to be like 15 or 16, and then Zuko's supposed to be around Sokka's age, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's I mean, he looks like in his early 20s, and he actually looks like his age. So that's something to consider. Honestly, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and say my verdict right now. If you're looking to collect Avatar stuff, and you haven't really jumped on anything yet, go for the McFarlane stuff. That's just what I'm going to say. I don't regret getting all the stuff in the past, but I feel like the McFarlane stuff's where it's at. So finally, we've got Appa. And keep in mind, this toy is only $20. Keep that in mind. He doesn't have too much going on. He is fairly simplistic. He does have a lot of nice sculpted detail that's just unfortunately not picked out, like he has the straps on the horns. He has a lot of fur that could really use some more paint. If this fur got more paint, it would look absolutely gorgeous. But for being a $20 toy, I really can't complain at all. He's got the camping bag back there. You can see where it is almost set up like a bed in his saddle. But getting Aang in, I mean he can sort of rest in there. Like he can sit. He can sit in Appa, but it's still way too small. Appa's still way too small, right? He is. But I can commend it, because they knew that for this toy line, an in-scale Appa would be way too big. It would cost a lot, and honestly, like in kid hands, this is a pretty big, chunky toy. Like, it really is. I mean, it's got some articulation. You can move the feet around a little bit. The tail, awesomely, is on a big ball joint. So you can move that tail in like so many different directions. Appa did use it as a weapon, so you can use that in play. And then his head, awesomely, is on a big old ball joint. So you can get it tilting side to side. You can actually get it moving side to side as well, just a little bit. You can move it, look up and down. And you can actually open his mouth, which is very awesome. And one thing I love that McFarlane does, they also did this for their King Shark, how they do their jaws. If you move it more and more, the front teeth show. And how they do that is because the front teeth are attached to the bottom jaw. You can see it's all one big piece. And the more you open it, the front teeth get exposed. I said the front teeth get exposed. There we go. So yeah, that looks really good. I'll probably display mine fully open because that just looks really nice. I mean, the sculpt is dead on. That is Appa. Like I said, it is a little small, but for only $20, man, this is a chunky figure. He is heavy. He weighs at least 2 pounds, I'd say. I mean, he's heavy. He is heavy. But he's not the first Appa. There has been another. get out of there Katara effect and Sokka leg. There was the Mattel effort. This was actually more of a gimmicky toy. It came with an Aang that was like on a glider that could fly away. Mattel did an Appa. As you can see, it is bigger. Definitely not significantly bigger enough to really matter. Because, I mean, it's still way too small, right? It's still really tiny. Actually, how I have my figures displayed, I said how I have Sokka, like, sort of sitting up there, and then I have the Aang on the other side. That's why his tunic's all messed up. Yeah, I got this for like a couple bucks, which is actually a steal of a deal for it. But you can see this thing came out back when the show was out. It's got really simple detail. I mean, it's a pretty simple toy. It doesn't have a lot of the fur texture. It does have some along the edges there. But you can see where it has the launcher in there, where it flings out the Aang that kind of flies. You know, like those fairies, where like you always see those videos of like the fairies that like fly into the fire on Christmas morning. It was an Aang that was kind of like that. And yeah, this Appa is pretty neat. I do think he has sounds, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they work anymore, but he is supposed to, like, go roar. Like, he does actually make the noises. His legs also have some motion. You can actually articulate the legs a little bit. So that is something I can give the Mattel one. And he actually has a wheel on that. Is he maybe just off, or... Oh, maybe he might work. Oh! I just had him off. We can hear him. All right, Appa. What do you gotta say? What are we saying, Appa? Are we saying anything still, or are we done? Oh, he's motion activated. Yeah, that's why I had him off. He's motion activated. Yeah, you can hear him. That sounds really good, honestly. Like, that's pretty cool. So when it comes to Appas, both of them are really cool toys, right? One definitely looks a lot better than the other. But, I mean, the other has a feature with an Aang. It can talk. It can articulate a little bit more. Honestly, when it comes to Appas, take your pick. Which one do you prefer? I personally like them both. I'm going to keep them both in my collection because I'm a huge Avatar fan. I don't mind keeping them both. So, yeah, with that... There we go. There is a comprehensive look and comparison of the new McFarlane Toys Avatar The Last Airbender figures compared to previous efforts, previous releases, and what came before. So, my final verdict. If you're new into Avatar The Last Airbender, if you're new into wanting toys from this series... like, I know my brother and his wife, they actually were waiting for McFarlane to make toys. And they got these. And I think they made a pretty good decision. I personally jumped in on the diamond stuff. I have no regrets. Those are still pretty good figures. I really like them. But these, I think, if you're getting into it, this is where it's at. There are rumors of there being more figures already, like Wave 2 may have Toph and Uncle Iroh. That would be super sweet. I really hope this line continues. McFarlane is also doing a 7-inch line. I have not gotten any of those yet. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. I'll review them. Hopefully I won't wait a month like I did for these. But yeah, those look pretty good too. They definitely have more emotive faces. But yeah, those look pretty promising. I hope McFarlane doesn't like go strong on 2 Avatar lines though. I can't afford to be collecting multiple Avatar lines again. I just can't do that. But yeah, I have no regrets with these, especially for this whole package just costing $65 out the door, not including Uncle Sam tax, of course. Yeah, it's well worth it, man. These are pretty awesome figures, and if you're an Avatar fan, I think this is where it's at. So yeah, guys, there we go. After about 30 minutes, like I said, there's my long, comprehensive look and comparison at the new Mattel Avatar The Last Airbender. Not Mattel. McFarlane Avatar The Last Airbender compared to the Mattel and the Diamond Select. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for the continued support. I seriously could not do this without you guys. It's really sweet that I have so many people that love me. Oh, I'm going to cry. I'm sorry, I'm so sarcastic. That's assuming what I am. Alrighty, guys, I really do appreciate you, though. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.